In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to reseal an aquarium. I was recently going on Facebook's marketplace and I came across a free fish tank right here. And I decided I was going to go ahead and go pick that up. When I got home, I started taking a good look at it. And one of the things I saw was this. Anytime you see a fish tank that has a date from 10 years or older and has never been resealed, that's a good indication it's time to reseal it. I also looked closely at the seals, and you can see in this little piece of video here that they were starting to pull away. And because of those indications, I decided, just to be safe, we were done to rip out all the old seal and replace it with a new seal. So there's some different tools that you're going to need for resealing your tank. First, you're going to need some vinegar, white vinegar, and a sponge. You're going to want a razor and razor blades. You're going to want to go ahead and have some nail polish remover or acetone and a rag. You're going to want to make sure you have some blue painter's tape. I like to go with the blue. You could go with the green, but typically the blue is cheaper, so I like to have the blue. And lastly, you're going to need some silicone and a caulk gun or silicone gun. So the first step in resealing our tank that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean the glass. This is going to make it a lot easier for us when we go to put that tape on and we're getting ready to reseal, to make sure that we have a nice clean surface. We're going to go ahead and clean off all the old hard water stains, get rid of any algae that might be left over and dried up in here, and just make sure that the glass is nice and clean. Now that we've got that all done, we're going to take our scraper and our razors and we're going to start removing that old seal. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to want to be careful. So let's say that this was our glass panes and we have our two glass panes. Well, when you're scraping the glass this way, you don't have to worry about your razor because it's going to bounce right up against that glass. Not a problem. But when you're coming down on the other way towards your glass, you gotta be really careful that you don't go into that seal. And the reason is, although our silicone that we're replacing here keeps the water out, it does not keep the tank together. There is silicone right here between these two edges of your glass panes that is keeping that tank together. So you don't want to be pushing your razor blade into that, because that'll start to separate that glass from each other and make it so that the glass is not held as strongly together. So now that we've pulled all of the old silicone off the tank, hopefully you guys can see there's still a little bit of residue here on the corners. You can just barely see it on there. But this is where we're going to use our acetone and our rag, because we're going to go back and we're going to try to get all of these little edges, get them completely clear of glue, because your new silicone is not going to seal to that old silicone. The old new silicone cannot hold on that new silicone. So we've got to get the rest of that off. Now that you've gotten all of that glass really clean, you've gotten all the old silicone out of the tank, now you're going to go ahead and you're going to use that blue painter's tape that we were talking about earlier. And what you're going to do is you're going to basically tape off all those corners. And I'll show you exactly what that's going to look like when you're done. But you want to make sure that you're giving yourself a little bit of space there in each one of those corners for that new silicone to go. This is going to really help make sure you have a nice clean finish when you're done with your resealing project, and it's going to give you that nice look that you really is going to show you a professional look as far as the way your silicone looks at the end. Here's how that tape is going to look like once you get your tank all taped up. You can see there's just a little bit of gap there on all the edges that I left for that silicone that you're going to be putting into the corners of the tank, where all of them come together. And that tape's going to be really helpful as far as just laying a nice clean line of the sealant Really is going to make your tank look nice when you're done. If you guys are finding this video helpful and you've watched this far, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. And if you are enjoying it, you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Before you go ahead and put that silicone on your tank, there's a few things you do need to know. One, silicone dries pretty quickly, so we're gonna have to make sure we work pretty fast. And two, we're gonna be putting a lot more silicone into the tank than we're actually going to need at the end. So you're gonna wanna have a trash can close by. You're gonna wanna have some paper towels because you're gonna be wiping your hands off a lot. And you're gonna have to pull that tape pretty much as soon as you are done getting all that silicone on in place. The silicone that I like to use is GE1. This works great in any of your fish tanks that are 75 gallons or smaller. You're going to take your silicone and get it into all of your corners and between each one of your panes of glass there. And then you want to take your finger and you're just going to wipe off the excess silicone while pushing all the silicone into the cracks and into that edge there between the two panes of glass. As soon as you're done with that, you want to start removing that tape. You want to make sure you get it off of there before it really starts to dry, or else you're really going to have a hard time keeping those lines nice and neat and keeping that silicone where you want it. Once you've completed getting all your silicone in place and you got it all set, now it's just a matter of waiting for your tank to dry. I suggest waiting at least 48 hours before you start testing your tank to see if it will hold water. And really, I would even recommend, a week of time to really let it dry, completely all the way through is a good way to go. Once you've done that, you want to make sure that you test fill it before you go ahead and put it in place in your house. The last thing you want is a fish tank full of water to start leaking all over your house. So you need to find a flat place to put your tank. Go ahead and fill it up and let it sit for 2 or 3 days and see if it's leaking any water anywhere. You don't want to fill it in your bathtub. I've seen people who think like, oh, I've resealed it, I can put it in my bathtub and seal it. Your bathtub doesn't have a flat bottom, and you really want to make sure it's sitting somewhere flat. So if you have a flat spot, maybe on a driveway outside or in your basement that, you could deal with the water a little bit easier, then that's okay, but don't put it in a bathtub. That's not a good idea. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead, make sure you click on this next video because I really do think you'll enjoy that one as well.